start recording. So now it is recording. Good day, good morning
Good
from
day
my
to
side.
us.
Thank you for joining me.
hmm
Uh,
And thank you for accepting me.
you're welcome. Let's start with how do we call you and what do you do in general? Like a brief
Okay.
introduction.
I'm bad with intros, so I guess I hope it won't be too bad.
Well, we
The
can
name
we
I
can break it down. We can break it down. Like, okay, so how do
definitely
we call you? Let's start with that.
okay. First things first. The name that I use online is Arnie. I like the name Arnie, so I guess people can use that. But honestly, just call me whatever you want, really. Yeah, I guess it's just like my main name of sorts.
hmm hmm
Um, As I've added in the signal message, which I have, by the way, beside me, just to not get too off track,
Uh-huh.
uh, I am 19 and I'm doing some engineering studies, so
hmm
getting very daring when we look at all of the previous candidates in the Prot Talks series. And so, yeah, on my side, those studies are mainly for stuff like IT, computer science, mixed with a bit of ecology.
hmm
Due to how I had to like kind of switch studies, kind of a not necessarily a big story, but a story nonetheless.
hmm
I didn't see the ecology aspect yet, so I'm hoping that I'll see it very soon, and two, that it's not gonna be like empty solutions, if that's the way to put it.
Uh-huh. So you are 19. This means you are in the second year. Now you are entering the second year, or you finished the second year of studies of university?
So normally it will be something along the lines of a third year, but the thing is that
Ah.
since again I did switch schools,
Uh-huh.
um, I got to save some time, but so this is right now my second year in practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So the ecology, you haven't seen it yet, and your concern is that maybe it's not that meaningful and it's mostly window dressing, or what is it? Like, what have you heard? What is the feeling you get?
Well, I haven't really heard anything about the specific curriculum, right? But I feel like something that happens a lot, especially with things that might be true. I say might because I don't know, but especially for things like tech fields and etc. It's maybe this thing of, oh, ecology. We can like make these weird machines that transform CO2 into like stones and stuff. Like, okay, but maybe there are better solutions around.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, I guess it kind of already gets into maybe the more political side of things in a sense, but this
Mm-hmm.
thing of where and which direction do we go in regards to ecology? And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I necessarily agree with the ones that some schools as would take, especially since again the school that I'm going to, oh, it's engineering, IT, CS, it's nice, but it's like anything that's kind of close to engineering and like high tech, I'll say it like that,
Mm-hmm.
may not have our best interests in mind. Our as in the people. I don't know. If, for example, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna work with Microsoft and Amazon. And admittedly,
Yeah.
I think some people, I know I'm one of them, may have some criticism with those little guys over there. It's yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing I think with technology in general, which is that it is not values free. So, of course, a technological solution may solve a problem a certain way, but it has some assumptions underpinning it, which are the values we have. Like, if you think it is okay for Microsoft to solve the problem, let's say, then that is built into your solution,
Yeah.
right? So, and many times the values, because they are underpinnings, we don't even think about them, but they are there, of course.
Very good point, because I think maybe not enough people realize this, especially in perhaps more progressive spaces where I see things like free software being kind of a blind spot.
hmm
But it's like using things again, such as Microsoft. I think that's necessarily, as you said, upholding certain values. And It's like, hey, yeah, I'm using Microsoft. Okay, maybe you don't think much of it. Maybe you just play it to, I don't know, do League of Legends or whatever. And please don't play these games. But yeah, the thing is that necessarily it strengthens Windows and therefore it helps them, well, Microsoft as a whole, because it's not in a vacuum, but still.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm, hmm. Of
all the
course,
values. Yeah,
just to say, of course, the counterpoint to that is that for somebody who does think about the values, it's like I understand that solving a problem but not touching Microsoft. We use Microsoft as an example here, means that Microsoft remains in a position of strength, but at least we are solving the problem. And there is, of course, that side as well, and I can see it. And more generally, there is this idea, which is like, you know what? If we try to solve all the problems at once, we probably won't solve any of them. Like, we don't have enough capacity.
yeah,
So it like once you get into the technicalities, it always gets tricky.
definitely. I think it's nice to kind of debate around like the generalities and kind of like hypotheticals, but definitely it's probably more of a case by case basis, I think.
Um, Tell me, because you told me in your
Yeah,
message you sent me, you told me about Emacs slash Linux, and you do some gaming, and you enjoy cooking for others, and you have a proclivity for self care. And so I want to cover a little bit of all of these, and let's start with the technical part. So
okay.
Emacs, Linux, technology, this sort of thing. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that. What do you do in this space? And just to say, just to add to this, you also told me about the fact that you like to minimize distraction. So I want to hear you about that as well.
Yeah. Good point on reminding me about the distractions part, because that's something I wanted to mention about why I
Hmm.
like Emacs. One of the main reasons I do. But so I'll start, I guess, with Emacs because that's probably the most um, common thing that everyone here has, whether it's both of us or the viewers.
Uh-huh.
Um, I love Emacs. It's just incredible. Because it's funny. I don't do that much programming actually. And the reason that I went to Emacs to begin with was an entire thing of like personal knowledge management, like kind of the whole thing that people do with like, oh, Obsidian, Logseek, etc. And I then used this Logseek application, which I guess can be thought of just as Obsidian to avoid all of the technicalities of it. But um, and I wanted something like Emacs because I thought, oh, well, apparently I hear that, you can just make it into whatever you want. And I felt like I didn't really use everything with Logseek. Could that be super complicated features they had? I just never used them because I just
Mm-hmm.
found out that a text search was more than enough for my pretty large database. So I just went with Emacs and especially org mode because that's what I had in mind really was like org mode in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it out. I was like, wow, this is really good actually. And from there, it kind of just spread all over me, I guess. And so now I use it for anything that is not like heavily graphical, like the modern web. Uh, because if I talk about a why and how I use Emacs nowadays, I use it for file management with DRED, obviously. Well,
Mm-hmm.
obviously not necessarily, but there's also terminal use with eShell and the external EAT package, which is
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, terminal emulation and that for eShell. RSS feeds. Recently, I've been very interested in RSS feeds,
Uh-huh.
which does play into the whole thing of minimizing distractions and also maybe going against common algorithms that people, well, our services use, such as YouTube, Google, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else? Did I miss anything? Well, obviously, life management is org mode. I think it's
Uh-huh.
funny that I say the biggest thing at last, but
So there is life management and there is the knowledge management.
yeah,
And I'm curious, what do those concepts mean to you? Like, what does knowledge management entail in practice for you? And then life management, like, what does that actually mean?
yeah, because yeah, people say this, but it's always vague. Admittedly, I should probably say more clear things when I say this stuff, but so when I talk about it was life and it was uh life management and the other one
And the
was
knowledge management.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So because of course they might be very similar in practice, but yeah, we distinguish them, so probably there is something different there.
Yeah, definitely. So about knowledge management, first of all. I'm going to talk about what I do in practice because I feel like that's probably the best descriptor that I'd have for this. Is that usually I do this with like it's a mix of journaling and taking actual notes on things. So for example, oh, if I'm feeling a particular way about something or an event, etc., I can either write it out on my paper notebook, which is what I do at night when I don't want to use computers,
Mm-hmm.
and otherwise it's all in Emacs.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely just the idea of like throwing things onto something. Like for me, it really helps. Just like kind of ties back into this thing of self-care because it's like you better understand yourself or you understand
Mm-hmm.
yourself better, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also a thing of simply assessing situations better because you just have a second lens on things, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And there's
good way.
also, yeah, and there's also a thing again of taking notes. So a good example of this that I like to use is that, um, for example, for people who use Debian, I think you're on Debian, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Debian
Um,
stable. It's so stable here. Yeah. Nothing to see
yeah.
here, folks.
But yeah, like Debian, which I should use more. I do have it on like my work laptop, but I'm getting off track. I'm getting off track. Um, and yeah, something that I needed is that, oh, there's some software that I like, but I gotta backport it. So sure, there was the Debian wiki, but I thought it would be nice to be able to kind of like translate the commands into source blocks and kind of just, I guess, make it more minimal so that it's really just like I joke when I say it like this, but it's like a caveman note where it's just like read the thing, do, read the thing, do. And it's just nothing but what you actually want. So I've made this into those org notes, and for me it's like very good because I can just, I don't know, occur the buffer or something, and then oh hey, that's the heading. I'll just go there and just look at the readings, the orders,
Mm-hmm.
the steps, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the part of having a reflection on your thoughts, like a second lens, and the fact that you can search through them. Um, do you think that elucidating your thoughts in this way allows you to understand yourself better? And also to understand yourself better in terms of what you know, but also in terms of what you feel like? Does it provide like an outlet, and through that outlet you see more of it, sort of thing, of what is within?
Really good question. Wow.
Well, maybe you don't know the answer, just to say this, because many times we do stuff which intuitively makes sense, but we haven't actually thought it through. But it's still right, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think I do have some answers to that. I think it definitely provides an outlet. I don't know if it will like kind of clear things up on what I do already know. But absolutely on how I feel,
Mhm,
because with this whole thing again of putting things on paper or on screen, then you're able to kind of just assess situations better because in my mind when I think, oh, I'm sad because of X event, then you might have like all the reasonings behind why you feel sad, kind of just like rushing through your mind. And just putting them
mhm,
on the screen, it's like you just read lines. Again, it's kind of like this caveman mode again, where it's just like you read things, okay, that's what it is, and you're done.
mhm,
And yeah, personally, when I feel really bad, I know that all these things of writing things down really helps me kind of just cope with things and assess them better. Definitely.
mhm,
And so yeah, it does lead to a better, first of all, understanding of myself, mostly in regards to how I feel. And a better understanding of myself, I think, also leads to a better caring of myself.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Interesting, interesting.
Yeah,
Good.
definitely.
Good, good. Yeah, and of course, that connection you drew there is really important because how can you tend to your needs if you can't actually understand them? Like, if how can you help when you don't know what needs help?
Yeah,
Nice,
very, very
nice.
good point. Yeah, definitely. And I missed the life management, which I guess kind of goes into the same idea, mostly because I write them the same way I do knowledge management with org
Mm-hmm.
capture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but really, it's a very crude system, I admit. We're just like, oh, to do, name of to do task, done. Org agenda, look at task, do. Like it's really nothing complicated, right? But I think it's really good because it lets me have something, and this goes with the entire Emacs ethos, I think, which is it's as simple or as complicated as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
definitely as someone who used to want to have very like, oh, it's like super organized and everything. And I just realized that it sucks, honestly, to just yeah, because you just spend 2 hours organizing your notes and then 15 minutes actually doing the notes. Like
Yes, yes,
it's like you're just
yes.
losing so much for not a lot of benefit, I think.
Yes, yes. And I think a lot of people, including myself in the past, fall in this trap where it's like, you know
Yeah.
what? I want the most elaborate system that covers every case and it's so precise and you never miss anything. And until you develop that system, well, you are not doing actual work on yourself or on other things in the meantime. And eventually, once you build that system, you're like, well, I forgot how it works. It's too complicated. This doesn't look right. And then you go back to the drawing board, and it's a vicious cycle. You keep revisiting that thing. Whereas having this caveman approach, as you called it, which is like, you know what? Just make it work really basic. I don't really need all the extras. And even though it's not perfect, even though it's not fancy, at least it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I don't know if I exactly share this thing with every single thing in my life, mostly because I like to waste a lot of time testing different things out in Emacs. Like, oh, instead of AV, what if I use this like thing that I, because that's a thing I tried yesterday, for example, where I'm getting off track.
Mhm. Oh, that's fine. No. Just to say, opening a parenthesis is kind of what we do in Emacs, you know, like
Okay,
so.
that is
So-
okay. That's a nice one. Yeah, okay. But yeah, because I like to kind of like dabble around with Emacs and kind of just testing out different paradigms, different ways of doing the same thing. And I would love to use AV, which for people who may not see is like this thing where oh you have the text on that's visible on the screen, and then you can just like jump to it by typing a few letters. Um, and I would love to use that more because that feels way more efficient than doing something like oh go to line and then go to specific character. Because well like it's directly oh you go to the thing, but it's a lot of mental effort.
Mhm,
And I found that using stuff like iSearch was a lot less mentally taxing, mostly because of muscle memory.
mhm,
And so I kind of tried this thing where oh instead of like binding Control J to AV jump, then I'm gonna do that for like some sort of iSearch resume, where it's like a regex search that looks for the start of a word. And then goes forward, which I don't know if I need to to detail that, but maybe it's important. Maybe it's important, right?
No, no, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, that feels way better.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, because I feel like with AV, there's a lot of different things, and kind of goes back into this caveman mode where it's like, oh, you have to think about. Because I use the go to car timer thing.
The timer. Okay, yeah, yeah. That's the
Yeah,
one I have tried. The others don't make sense to me.
And the thing, it's like, oh, but I like to be kind of efficient, not wait too much, so I can use the timeout thing and modify the setting. But I can also use enter to be like, oh, I'm done. Let's jump to the thing. And then it may takes things that are like inside of the word stems. Stop. And it's also the whole thing that's super difficult of, again, like the candidates, how you jump to them. Because I used to do this thing with like the home row letters,
Hmm.
which I guess could also tie into the whole thing of ergonomics because, oh wow,
Oh,
um,
beautiful. What is that? The ferry sweep? Is that? What is that?
yeah,
Ah,
that's the Ferris sweep, yeah.
beautiful.
Um, but yeah, so putting that aside for a moment, yeah, the whole thing of home row letters. But the thing is like, oh, it's M and then K or stuff like that. And I thought, well, numbers might be more useful, like 1, 2, and then 10,
Mm.
11.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem though, because say you have 11 matches, or hell, just 10. Okay, you gotta have 1, 2, 3, and then 10. So you
Hmm.
press 1,
Yeah, 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 yeah. I see already the
and
problem.
yeah, it's just a problem. So I don't think that I'm gonna be using AV2 much on my side. Wonderful package, especially when you use the AV actions, but I use it just for jumping. And again, I find that iSearch might be better for my own needs, my own wants,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I feel
Yeah.
you. I feel you. For me, it's basically the same because I also have this sense of avoiding distractions. And even though, in theory, the idea of looking at the screen and jumping anywhere, like teleporting there, is fine, the way it has to actually be implemented is
Mhm.
either with a timer where you type an exact match, so you never see anything, or the way it is doing where it highlights a lot of things.
Mhm.
So there is the input, the highlighting, and then the jumping. The
Yeah.
highlighting part for me is really distracting because unless it's an exact match, I see a lot of things being highlighted. And to me, it's like, oh, what is happening? I get disoriented. Like, I forgot where I wanted to go. And I'm like, you know what? iSearch is fine. And imprecise, even, jump half a page up and then move a couple of lines down, even that which is imprecise, to me is less distracting than doing something which is precise but disorienting.
Very
Uh,
much so.
so there is that as well. But this is exactly what you were saying, which is like with Emacs, you have the ability to make it as simple or as complex as you need and adapt accordingly. And then, of course, you have the setup that works for you, and it doesn't matter if it works for other people.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
And now there's definitely the whole thing of setups, and I do this mainly to talk about my dot files because I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
And
please, please.
admittedly, admittedly, I may have taken some inspiration from yours, especially with the heavy documentation of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Bad
but
habits. Didn't
yeah. What do you mean by the habit?
like didn't your parents tell you not to go with those bad people, bad influences? Of
If you
course, I'm
consider them
kidding.
a
I'm
good
kidding.
well, hey, I consider a good influence. Don't
No,
not to
no,
worry.
that's fine.
But yeah, no, it's really good because I've made this entire thing, which is admittedly meant to be more read inside of Emacs itself, but I really try to make it as accessible as possible to potential Emacs newcomers in the sense that, oh, you can like uh go different headings, kind of like use the org mode facilities first of all, such as the whole thing of outline folding. By the way, huge shout out to the outline functionality in Emacs. Wonderful, because
Mhm.
I cannot focus on anything, and it helps me focus. It's good. But anyways, um, and something I really like doing was this thing where I will either add like internet links to things I'd be talking about. So for example, feed, I put like the GitHub link, or what I preferably did was that I will add like an example, and then we'll have like the symbolic expression to go to the info page of a specific thing.
Nice. Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So for example, it's I think it's very nice to be able to just oh, I'm reading about Arni's like iSearch modifications. Oh, there's like manual pages, so I just go there and bam. And especially with stuff like consult packages, I think it's just amazing to like use the Emacs manual. I've definitely been using the manuals way more often once I understood that consult add, I think, for that.
So is it consult info, the command? Which command is this?
I think it is actually. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
think
think it's, yeah.
yeah, oops, MSI consult info. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, good, good. Yeah, yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And
and it's
this
go
idea
ahead.
of linking to the manual, yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Definitely. I do find that a lot more, I guess, enjoyable as opposed to reading it inside of like a modern browser like Firefox for stuff like Emacs, and even accessing it on EWW in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you do have all of the goodies of the info system,
Mm-hmm.
which I admittedly don't use too much because consult info just makes that work so much easier, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I think it's good.
Once you know what you are looking for, of course, there is the process of discovery, but once you know what you are looking for, the letter G inside of info manuals will jump to any node, so any chapter. The letter I will jump to any index item, so it will be a function, a variable, whatever. So basically, GI allow you to jump anywhere in the manual, and I find those really useful. But those are more useful once you know what you are searching for, and you need to
G and
revisit it.
I.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Interesting.
for example, I know the workflow. You type Control H capital R to search for a manual. Then you type eLisp. So you go to the eLisp info manual. From there, you type G, and for example, you do customization types or window parameters or whatever. Like if you know what you are searching for, I mean, and then you go straight to that node. But of course, consult info is still fantastic.
Yeah. I'll have to try it out because that sounds really interesting. But does it do like the whole thing of like searching for every single text in every node?
No, so
Or
it only searches for the headings.
okay.
So think of them like org headings, and basically it's the text of the heading.
Okay. So it's kind of like or jump in a sense.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Ooh,
And
interesting.
the index search, so the one with I, if you ever write a manual, you will see this. But the point is that when you write, let's say, the name of a function, what you can do is you can say, okay, here is an index entry for that function. So when the user types I and let's say the name of that function, they jump directly to the given paragraph where the index is. So
Whoa.
if you go to a manual and you type G, you will get, for example, let's say 50 candidates. If you type I, you will get 500, let's say. So yeah, there is that. It's quite neat. But yeah, of course, you need to know what you are looking for.
Okay, interesting. Kind of goes into maybe this whole idea of knowing Emacs defaults and vanilla Emacs stuff is really good because yeah, myself has I've been kind of trying to like limit the amount of third-party packages that I use,
Mm-hmm.
mostly out of a need to keep things somewhat minimal and therefore reliable. Um, and also just that it's less mentally taxing again,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Mm-hmm.
like
It's
you don't
that
have to
theme.
worry. Yeah, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to worry about things like, oh yeah, but I don't know, Helm, it doesn't really integrate with like the rest of the Emacs thing, etc. Which is why I never wanted to try it out, admittedly. But it's stuff like that where instead, again, sometimes I just want to do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
good to just be able to either have very simple packages or packages that stick to the Emacs API, or even just like no package at all. And you just rely on the defaults, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe an extension of that is packages that you can use, but which ultimately do not change how you use Emacs. because you gave AV as an example. So if you get used to AV, basically you cannot work without it. So eventually you have a dependency on AV as a user, I mean. But if it's something which, let's say, augments iSearch, I don't know in what way it could do it, but let's say something that augments iSearch, could in theory omit it from your configuration. You don't have the augmentations, but it's still the same kind of workflow.
Very good point. I never thought about it that way, actually. It's good. Yeah. Although I guess there's also a thing of, I guess, what kind of dependencies you may want to have, because I did find out about this thing yesterday called focus mode,
Uh-huh.
or
Mm-hmm.
rather focus package, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, like it grays out everything but the current text that your the point is inside of. And I think this is the kind of dependency that I'm okay with because it just it's just amazing. And besides, it's kind of just like manipulating faces, or I think it's maybe not as potentially bad, I guess, as something like AV. Because you could say, oh, well, it's all just like text. And how this text is displayed, kind of like outline modes, for example. Where with AV, it's an entire workflow, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, yeah, still pretty interesting, this whole thing of how things can be dependencies on how you work. Maybe we could say that about Emacs as well, which might be kind of a problem when you go to like the workplace. Actually, what is Emacs? What is no use VS Code instead. What the hell? I
Yeah,
wouldn't want
yeah,
that.
yeah, of course. Like in practice, of course, there will always be some kind of dependency. The question is how far you want to go, for sure.
Definitely,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And then this also means how adaptable you are to other things.
Mm,
But
very
yeah,
true.
if you are in a place where they are like, oh, you cannot use Emacs because such and such is the policy, that policy I think is ill considered. But
Very much so.
yeah, okay, who am I to know what they are doing?
Or maybe you just make Emacs looks like VS Code, and with enough luck, it works.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You
sneaky,
call
but yeah, I like it. I like
it's sneaky, but it's really risky.
it.
But it could
Oh,
work.
me, VS Code. I know nothing else. Yeah, yeah. Nothing to see
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah, it's just don't press Alt X, by the way. But yeah, no, it's super nice. It's super enjoyable.
Very good, very good. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about the other things. So,
Yeah.
you told me about cooking, but it wasn't just cooking. It was cooking for others, and I thought that was an interesting way that you said it. So I want to learn about that. But you also said about art and expressing oneself through art. And the self care, I think we covered it a little bit, but maybe it fits in with these as well. So let's start with cooking. Tell me a little bit about cooking for others. So how
Um,
does that happen, first of all?
how does that happen?
Like, do you gather?
Um,
Do you invite them to your place? Do you gather somewhere for a picnic or whatnot? Like,
I admittedly I don't invite a lot of people. I think it's mostly because I don't know a lot of people like in real life that I be able to like just invite over like this. A lot of my friends are online. It's kind of like a 50-50 thing.
hmm
But but anyways, yeah. I think when I cook for others, it's mainly like by happenstance, I guess, where it's like, oh, well, I'm with this person, might as well, cook.
Mm.
Um, but the thing is, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I just don't like elaborate cooking when it's just for myself. Because it's kind of this thing of, well, I don't know, I just want sustenance. So I don't know, I'm gonna do like a 3-star Michelin meal when, like, I could just like buy, I don't know, pasta, tofu, and just be done with it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, um, but I do really enjoy cooking for the others because, oh, it's nice to like the whole process of cooking. And when I think about it, it's really funny that I like the process of cooking itself. Oops. When it's for others, but not for myself. And I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's only related to this thing of effort to goal ratio, I guess. But
Hmm.
I just like, making people happy and all these things. So I guess it kind of like ties into this idea of cooking for others.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe it's a thing of seeing like cooking for myself, like cooking elaborate meals as kind of like over the top self-care, which might be something to look into and question. Why will it be over the top, Why can I
Mm.
why
Hmm.
can I not get a little treat from time to time?
Hmm.
Or maybe just that also I'm lazy. Because I'd definitely be interested in, having more elaborate cooking stuff like, I don't know, pickled onions and whatever. But like, unless I find a system that lets me, do a lot of things without doing too much effort, um, I don't see myself doing all this like super elaborate cooking every day.
Yeah, of course, of course. Because always it's a matter of how much time you have and what other priorities are there.
Yeah.
Because, of course, if time wasn't a factor, then you would say, okay, I will always do the most elaborate dish. Like, no questions asked, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
On the topic of cooking for others, I don't have personal experience with that. I've never cooked for others in the sense of cooking for friends, I mean, like that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But I have cooked with others plenty of times. And for me, that was really fun. It's always fun because it's a learning process, of course, but that's not really the point. It's a bonding process. It's like, oh, we are doing together this thing, and oh, show me how you do that dough there. What are you doing there? And oh, this is how you do the salad. Oh, why do you slice them this way? And all these little things, but it's a kind of a sense of we trust each other more. Like, this is our meal, we will share it, and this is how we do it. And basically,
Yeah.
there are no secrets.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Is this whole thing of like humanity is a way to put it, I guess, of just like
Hmm.
bonding, socializing with people. Like, yeah, that's great. Definitely a good point. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I had a friend, so I have a friend, but I haven't seen him in a while. So a friend from Portugal, and the Portuguese people are basically very similar to the Greeks in terms of their outward manners and stuff. So it was very easy for us to connect right away. It's like, oh, my friend, the first time I see you, but we are already best mates.
Aw.
um, of course, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, this is the idea. And he would invite me over and be like, "Hey, come and we will cook something." And I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you have in mind?" I have no idea. Come and we will see.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's how it is.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole thing where it's like, okay, we will just chat around and tell jokes and have a nice time. So it's really about the social experience.
Yeah, definitely. I'm
the
not
re-
sure
yeah.
what to. Oops.
No, no, please, please, please go ahead, go ahead.
Every time I suddenly talk over people when there's like a silence, it's all. Anyways, so something I wanted to add, which wasn't exactly linked to cooking, but definitely the idea of, oh, it's nice to like, socialize and everything. I've definitely been rethinking my whole usage of the internet, I guess.
Hmm?
Um, and definitely with a lot of the things that I've done, it feels perhaps closer, better. Um, because I think there's also a thing, first of all, of looking for specific communities that might appeal to you more than others, such as, I don't know, beliefs, values, or just interests in general. And I think that's also kind of a thing that I wanted to kind of like hint at, the whole thing of like RSS feeds and maybe more, not necessarily local, but smaller communities in a way, because I've kind of been dabbling around the whole thing of the Fediverse. Don't know if you've been hearing much about this thing.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about it, but in practice, I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah. Which I mean, I don't think anybody has to myself. I've kind of done it because just to try things out. Because admittedly, I have a very skeptical view of social media nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I found that it's a lot more comfortable than other social media because I don't know, maybe this I don't know if it's maybe different priorities and etc. But I feel like it's maybe easier to find people like you. Maybe I say this
Mm-hmm.
and maybe when I say this it's kind of like a false positive in a sense because well naturally all the people are going to be on the Fediverse are going to be more into maybe progressive ideas of you or using free software etc. Because I mean I don't think the average person even knows what the Fediverse is in all honesty.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so naturally I don't know people that will be on the Fediverse might appeal to certain stereotypes. As
Mm-hmm.
much as I don't like using that word,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, maybe that means that then you find more people that appeal to these stereotypes if you yourself belong to those stereotypes.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
not
yeah.
that I enjoy the use of the word stereotype, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just to say that going back to the old web is probably a good idea in regards to socializing in a sense.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah.
me personally, I don't use social media because I think the medium itself is inherently problematic, whether it's free or non-free. And the reason I say this is because it's all text-based. And for me, there is nothing that replaces the face-to-face interaction, including what we do now. Even though it's video, we are not like close to each other. But I see you nodding your head, for example.
Mhm.
I smile, I make jokes, which in text you lose all that. And it's very easy in text to either misunderstand each other or to talk past each other. And I think for me that adds friction. And for socializing, I don't like it. It's good to exchange information, but not social media, right? But just to say this, um, I was with a friend of mine, a German person, and I was at their place. So I lived in Western Germany for a little while. And this person had no issues whatsoever with all the proprietary things. Facebook, it's great, the best thing ever. Windows, fantastic, all that. And I was like, how? Come on. But he was using Facebook in a way that was really pro-social. So look at this. They were in the neighborhood. They were preparing meals and stuff, and there would be some surplus. And they would post on the neighborhood page like, "Hey, I have this surplus of I don't know fried potatoes or whatever. Does anybody want it? Free of charge, of course." And they had this food sharing community which was run via Facebook. And I was like, you know what? The medium has its problems, but what these people are doing is pro social. They are sharing resources, they are not wasting food. And I thought, yeah, that was really nice. Even though otherwise I would be critical. Okay, why Facebook? Why this? Why that?
Yeah, that's true. That's actually I never really thought about this. I mean, I did think about the fact that yeah, again, like voice chatting, videos, that's all like a lot more personal, a lot more warm than just like, hey, I ate this today. Look at this meal. Like it's way better, especially because maybe with a post, most posts may not exactly make someone engage in an actual conversation. Whereas, look at us.
Hmm.
We've been talking for so much time and it's nice.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And I don't know if that's the sort of thing that happens directly on posts and social media.
Hmm.
Although many, I think, social medias may be able to help with then fostering these kinds of connections where people talk in ways that are that appeal to them better, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
For example, you might say, "Oh, this person looks cool," on like I don't know whatever instance of the Fediverse or something, and then you kind of talk, and then it's like, "Oh, let's move over to preferably not Discord because I use this for friends very sadly, but
Uh-huh.
besides the point." And yeah, but definitely, I think it's definitely yeah something to kind of think about in more depth. Maybe kind of consider the genuine impacts. Maybe philosophize about on what this entails of essentially being only really limited to text conversations, at least with the current culture around social media.
Hmm.
Maybe you could
Hmm.
imagine some sort of social media where people kind of like talk like we do. I know there's this whole thing of apparently like TikTok lives where people will like call each other, even if they're like strangers or whatever, and kind of just do dumb stuff and like talk, and that's nice. As much as I'm critical
Uh-huh.
of using these large services that may not have our best interests in mind.
Correct. Yeah. But the idea
Definitely.
sounds nice to me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good thing.
Because
Maybe
when you get
also.
these snapshots of a person, like it can be text, but it can also be pictures in something like Instagram, for example. Like you only get snapshots of a person, and that still doesn't give you the person. And I think that when you only get snapshots, you are losing something. And basically, let me phrase it a bit differently. Maybe I'm just a romantic when it comes to social affairs, in the sense that I want the real thing. I don't want the simulacrum. I mean, like, give me the actual social interaction.
I definitely get it though. I think I'm kind of in the same way. Maybe not as much. In the sense I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't know if that's how you see it, but I will say that while I'm definitely okay with just talking in text, God, is it so much better to talk like this, you know? Like again, it feels a lot warmer, I guess. Although maybe there's also maybe a question to be had in why is it warmer? Because you might say, I don't know, maybe someone cannot talk or have this sort of conversation. I don't know, maybe they are mute or something. And if so, two questions that might arise is one, does that mean that you might have less warm interactions with them? And two, how do you even get these warm interactions with someone who is mute if you consider talking like this to be a form of warm interaction?
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, I use warm in a pretty common, unphilosophical way, admittedly, but likely you see what I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Of course, of course. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, generally, that each
Mm,
person will be different, and of course, there are adaptations to be made. So whenever there is some generalization to be said, it doesn't mean that it applies to everybody or that it
yeah.
applies to everybody equally. So of course there is this levity we have to it,
Mhm.
this more relaxed way of looking at it, and it's not really very strict and precise.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So of course, as the Latin expression goes, mutatis mutandis. So with the things that need to be changed, changed.
Hmm.
So don't
Good
take
closure.
it literally.
Yeah. No, no, no. Good idea. Myself, I think I kind of fall into this trap sometimes. So it's good to, keep that in mind.
To connect this to the point of no distractions, though, and I think this is where I think the two meet, is when you talk to somebody face to face, and this somebody puts in some effort to not check out their phone. Oh, like it's been 5 minutes. Like what's going on? Exactly, exactly. So
Wait, what are you saying, actually? No.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
joke.
but exactly. So, no, no, I'm totally hearing what you're saying. Yeah, so when you have this face to face, I think what also happens is that you blot out the noise. And because you blot out the noise, you blot out the distractions, eventually there is more quality, more depth to the interaction. And I think to me, this is the thing.
Mm,
This is what
very
I
much so.
like.
Yeah. I think I'll end off with this like little anecdote I have, but I've been playing like every day with this one friend recently, and it's really funny because we play a bunch of different games, which right now mostly be sort of action game and then Minecraft.
Hmm.
And it's really funny because when we play this sort of like action game, like we're more focused on the game itself, and it's kind of like, oh, like we're having fun, we're spending time together, we're bonding. But it's I actually kind of prefer playing Minecraft because it's a lot more chill, and so you just have more time to, as you say, like it's less distractions, it's less noise, so you can just focus on the conversation. Sure, there's definitely the stimuli of Minecraft, which might or might not prevent this kind of thing. I guess it depends on how people respond to external stimuli.
Hmm.
But Definitely hard agree with this idea of less distractions equals more quality time, more quality talks. Definitely.
And also the other thing which you said now, it's like doing stuff together. That also helps for sure. Um, Tell me a little bit about gaming. Like, how do you see this, and in relation to Linux, or you don't game on Linux?
Well, it is my life's mission to never use Windows for personal use.
Hmm.
So, I think I'll always game on Linux. But even then, I've been really considering a lot of those ideas on gaming. I think I do have a few criticisms in mind. The first one being that gaming largely relies on proprietary licenses, software, etc. And myself, I've been kind of looking into moving past that. Because, for example, with a lot of the shady stuff that that Microsoft has been doing, and with the consideration that they own Minecraft, then I'd like to not really use Minecraft when I'm with said friend. And so I thought that once we'd be done with whatever we're doing in these world, then we could move on to Luanti, which is some sort of like free open source replacement to Minecraft, or rather alternative, I think is a good better way to put it.
Hmm.
And I think I'm definitely interested to look more into these ideas of free, um, free games. Well, free as in freedom, but
Hmm.
yeah, because I feel like instantly it actually has the benefit of the users in mind. I will never play something like Fortnite ever nowadays because when I look at everything from the marketing things, I'm just like, what the hell? How is this allowed? But it's like sure it's free, but like it's really not respectful of you as a player and as a person, right?
So it's
And you
free
will
of
say there's
charge, but basically it has predatory business practices
very
involved.
much so. At least that's what I think.
So what are
For
those
ex-
like? Because me, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. I know the name, but I know how it is played. But otherwise, I don't know what happens there.
So essentially, there's kind of a whole thing in a lot of these FPS first-person shooter games where it's like, oh, you have skins for your weapons or for your character themselves, and etc. Which essentially just like change the appearance. Um, and so obviously you're gonna have to use some sort of currency, for
Mm.
that.
Hmm.
And oh, how convenient! You have to use some money to for this currency.
Hmm.
Um, in the case of Fortnite, they use this currency called V-Bucks, and they have this quote unquote battle pass where people can do missions in the game and then get rewards for this. If
Ah,
you
okay.
buy one instance of the battle pass for the current, let's say, season, and if you could complete it even and have bought the pass, then you get enough V-Bucks to buy the next thing and so on. And you might say, oh, well, that's good because that means you don't have to play too much. Sure, but you have to play a whole fucking lot, sorry for the swearing, to be able to buy the next one. So you're just being locked into the game. And there's
Hmm.
also the very aggressive marketing of those skins that I mentioned previously, because everybody has them, everybody uses them, or is like, oh, I love this one or
Hmm.
that one. And even in the
Hmm.
trailers, everybody has those different skins. So when you don't have anything, you just feel like kind of dumb, and you're like, well, I don't know, what's $5 or $10? And then from there, it's kind of like salted peanuts, where it's like you just eat them and eat them and eat them, and then you don't realize that you just spent 300 euros of peanuts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. So basically they prey or they exploit or they capitalize on your sense of accomplishment and shame if you haven't done the accomplishment. So accomplishment and shame would be two sides of the same coin. And your sense of drive or commitment or duty, let's say, to the cause, which is like, well, I have to stick to this because this is what it takes to achieve the goals, and my goals are really important. So this is kind of my duty in, let's say, this virtual life.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Now I'm just one person who isn't really. knowing of the entire gaming industry. So obviously, I might have missed some things. I might have said some misconceptions, stuff like that. But that's at
Hmm.
least my own reading of it.
Hmm.
And especially in this consumerist place, to not say more things,
Hmm.
um, it's definitely a vicious cycle because oh, you express yourself or you fulfill yourself, you grow yourself by consuming, and part of this consumption, at least in the game Fortnite, goes through this thing of skins. So so it's really horrible, actually.
Yeah, it is tricky. It is tricky. Of course, combined with the fact that a large part of the audience will be children as well, right? So, and then of course, you are asking kids to. I don't know if there is also an element of gambling in that, an element of luck based or chance based, like pay to win kind of thing. And if you are lucky, you win. So I don't know if there is that as well, but that would sound really predatory.
Yeah. The whole I'll give this little, I guess, info that the whole thing of pay to win slash gambling is not present in specifically the game Fortnite,
Okay, okay.
but it's present in many other things. I know of one thing, Roblox, which as an entire stocks market for cosmetics. And it's sold as a
Whoa.
kids platform for children to
Whoa.
make their own games. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that crazy when people play Roblox 'cause it's like, how will you not want to like boycott this thing, you know? It's like you
Yeah,
could just
yeah.
go to the Las Vegas casino even if you're like 8. You don't even know what the economy is. Like like what?
No, no, that sounds really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is. And so, yeah, stuff like that, the proprietary stuff, the whole criticism I have of the gaming industry, such as the crunching of developers so that they do stuff as much as possible without any regard to their own health, stuff like that. It's left me very cynical
Hmm. Hmm.
of gaming as a whole. So I try to stick to stuff like indie games or just like free software, etc.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
crunch time in particular is something, of course, which happens in the gaming industry that I've read about many times,
Mm. Yeah.
including when the release of a software is close,
Mm.
when the release of a game is close. But the sad reality is that it happens in other places as well, but we just never
Mm.
talk about it. Like, for
That's
example,
true.
I would work in the tourism sector, uh,
Hmm.
and I would do double shift for no extra remuneration. It would be still 1.0 multiplier. It wouldn't be like 1.5 or 2.0. So it would be 1.0. So no extra remuneration. And you have to do it because oh, it's this special event, and we don't have enough personnel, and we cannot just hire people for 1 week or whatever. So you work overtime, and then that 1 week is over, and then oh, there is this other event, which oh, we totally didn't know would happen. And before you know it, 3 months go by, and you have worked a double shift the whole time without getting paid extra.
Ooh,
So
we love jobs.
yeah, these things happen, and yeah, of course, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah,
But the thing is,
definitely.
because this is not as high profile, you never hear about crunching,
Mhm.
crunch time, in that
Yeah.
sector. But the thing is that it happens a lot in many places, and people are not considerate. Just to add
Yeah.
something to this here, it's also what made me really, really skeptical, if not outright suspicious, of bosses whose first approach is to be your friend.
Yeah.
Because what this means is they prey on your sense of duty towards your friend, where, like, towards my friend, I wouldn't ask for money. Like, oh, I will help you with your stuff. You know what? With your chores, no questions asked. I won't ask for money.
Yeah.
But when your boss does this first thing, then it's like, no, my friend, I don't think we're actually friends.
Yeah, especially when you consider the entire inherent power dynamic between a boss and their employee because of things we might not mention. for other viewers might think, oh, this video is getting heated. What the hell? But yeah, to put this aside, definitely is a whole thing of power dynamics. So it's
Uh-huh.
it's very much it's I'm gonna say it like this. It's fucked up. But just like, hey, how are you? You good? You wanna work for me? Like, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. I'm just trying to live. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. And these power dynamics are, of course, obfuscated behind euphemisms such as, oh, we are flat. There is no hierarchy here. Oh, it's all flat here.
oh, we're all a
Uh,
family here.
yeah, it's all flat. Like, or they may use the contradiction in terms. It's a flat hierarchy. So we have a flat hierarchy here. Nothing to see here. It's just that even though we are flat, this person actually decides everything. This other person actually manages all the finance. Totally flat. Nothing to see here.
Oh yeah, at all. It's almost like a communist commune. We're just the modern communist commune. Karl Marx will be alive. Will tell. Yeah, that's good. No, none of that
yeah,
is real.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, like it's. Uh, but yeah,
So,
it's silly. It's silly
yeah,
though.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about art. You wrote a little bit about art. So yeah, tell me about it and self-expression and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Of course,
So
the
I'll be
parts you
honest.
want to say. Of course, you don't. Whatever you want to say. Yeah.
I am an open book. I'll preface this by saying that I'm not necessarily an artist. At least right now, I'm not really doing many things. I guess that in regards to art. Um, but I dabble perhaps in some communities. I know just the furry community that I've mentioned in the messages. Some people may feel like, oh no, oh no, like who cares, man? It's just like life is so absurd. Just do what you want, so long as you're not hurting anyone.
Hmm.
Right. And and I think there's definitely something nice about like this isn't necessary to the whole idea of the ideas of furry, but more so just representing yourself as any given art. Because what I do think, and I know I did have 25-minute voicemail to this to a friend about how furry is essentially a way of art form, just like any other one. Because when you think about it, it's very codified. It's got a lot of specific values, etc. But I think there's a certain value, no matter how that value is shown, what the actual thing looks like. Sorry,
Hmm.
of how one can represent themselves through art. Because, for example, even just I don't know, drawing yourself. For example, I think the your profile picture on the YouTube channel is like a sketch of yourself. No.
Correct, correct. Yeah, I didn't draw it. Somebody else did. Maybe 10 years ago. I'm not sure.
10 years ago, and
Yeah,
still
yeah.
it looks like you. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So either it was a premonition or basically I haven't changed. And actually, I will make a comment on this just to say I was like 20 years old or maybe 22 or something, and I had gray hair, like a lot of it. And people would call me sir and stuff, and they were like, me? Like, I'm just I'm just a guy here, nothing to see
Yeah.
here. Well, oh, what would you like to drink, sir?
Orange juice, please.
I'm not allowed to drink, I'm still too young or whatever. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Please,
Yeah.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just that sketch alone, it's a form of art. It's how they decide to represent you. Was the medium of choice with like paper and I'm guessing charcoal pen, something like that? Was it intended? What effects does that produce? What about the way that they drew you? They drew in a very realistic art style. My English is not really English right now. It is interesting to look into the effects that this gives because in much the same way that I don't know, oh, this is my first my persona, that's like my profile picture. You might have your sketch and be like, oh, that's my profile picture. That's we present ourselves. We might say online, but even just in general, we might
Hmm.
say. hell, even things like clothing. Myself, I'm wearing very basic clothing a lot of the time, but it's still a form of art because it's like representing yourself. And clothing, especially today, has grown beyond just a need to practical things, right? Like a lot of the time, it's like expressing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe it kind of could say that identity is maybe a game in a sense where it's just like, oh, you try things out, you express yourself, etc. I think it also depends on what, I guess, intents people may have in regards to art and how they express themselves, how they identify themselves in a way. Because maybe there will be some concerns about, oh, but what about, hiding yourself behind a mask, for example, just this thing of, oh, I'm the super pride person, etc. Even though as soon as you go home, you go crying for 2 hours because the world is just awful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. And obviously, talking about the specific hypothesis, for example, where it's like, well, what are the potential harms of something like this? Where, for example, um, this mental harm that's hidden, well, it cannot be treated. How can I treat something if I don't have access to it in a way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, how you treat that is another thing entirely because it will be said to then fall into, for example, eugenism or something like that. But again, just the entire idea of what are the goods and bads or potential bads of using art as a way to show yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and or those things that we perceive as good or bad, are they necessarily good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I remember reading an article specifically on making a persona, which was very elaborate, and which again you can apply to any sort of art medium. Where it's like, oh, you have three. Why is my throat like this? Ow! I'm getting old.
If you need water, if you need to drink some water,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
do your thing. No pressure, no stress. Yeah, it's totally okay.
it's summer too. I should be hydrating. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you
yeah,
for
yeah,
reminding.
yeah, yeah. Don't look at me because I have been living in this desert for a long time.
But yeah, anyways, yeah, the article. Because
So
the
it
whole
was
thing
about
is,
making a persona and what that entails.
yeah, the idea of making a persona in general. That you might have three ways of going about it, which like you might make a persona that's some sort of ideal, like, oh, this person is super smart and knows everything about Emacs, for example. I don't know. Um, and on one end, maybe my immediate reaction will be, I don't know, I'm not. Do we want those things of ideals? But we might say that an ideal may work as a role model, especially because since that role model is purely fictional, at least in how it is made, not necessarily in how it manifests, then it may help in then growing into this person that you want to be later on, I think.
Hmm.
It can
Hmm.
be such an example. You may also want to have some sort of persona that embodies an idea, maybe a paradigm could be a way to put it. Or my personal favorite is the whole thing of, okay, you use art and you just present yourself as you are. Maybe mentally, like that's my preferred thing. Because
Hmm.
again, I think I'm kind of like you with this whole thing of I want the real thing, you know? And obviously, the way of art might be. I'm gonna use this word, but I don't use it in any negative way. Art is a deception, perhaps, in the sense that you can present things in any way that you want. Um,
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
it's I don't know if I'll be able to really
Yeah,
express
yeah,
this idea well, in the sense that it's like people might interpret also different things, maybe. But it's like with what I made for my own persona, where it's like, oh, this is what I imagine could represent myself as who I am currently, at least mentally.
yeah. Hmm.
Because again, it's a whole thing of the idea of furry. So obviously, it's like this animal thing. Like I don't really look animal right now, really. Um, but still, I think it's interesting because it's like, hey, what does this specific choice say about the person who made that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Regardless of what the art medium is, again. And actually about what the art medium you chose. could even say about you, to be
Hmm.
actually.
Hmm.
So I think that's also interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And just to add to this here, because of course there is the realistic portrayal of how you look, right? And at one level, we will say this is the truth,
hmm
but at another level, that's not the truth. That's
yeah,
just a facet of the whole. It doesn't tell us anything about how you feel about it, how you feel about yourself, and how you feel at different times of the day, and so on and so forth. It's a snapshot to connect to what we were saying earlier, and a partial in that regard, right?
yeah, yeah. Really good point.
And
Because
so this
yeah,
would be the part of art, because you use the word deception. So that would be the deceptive side of art. If you make the mistake of thinking that the snapshot is the whole, or that the model is the reality. Let's put it this way. So that would be the deception. Otherwise, I would say that art is truthful in a multitude of ways, because the sketch is true in a sense of depicting your pictorial qualities, but it's also true in the sense of, let's say, reflecting your emotional state, where you feel a certain positive way when it's like charcoal on paper or ink on paper, and when you have this type of color or this type of lines which are smoothened out instead of being rough, and all sorts of things that can go into it. And that's why there is always more than one truth to be had in interpretation, but there is always truth to be had in interpretation.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think maybe your way of putting it is maybe close to what I had in mind. This whole thing of yeah, art is a bunch of different truths when you think about it, really. Because obviously, yeah, when I say that, I don't know, this USB key is me, dumb example, but
Hmm. Hmm.
like it's not the entire me, but it's like an idea, it's like, oh hey, this is part of me. This is a way to see me,
Hmm.
even if I don't really see how a USB key can represent myself other than for installing Linux distributions. But
Hmm. Hmm.
but yeah, like that's one example. I think this is a really good addition, really good point of view.
Yeah, and the other part of this is that aesthetics more broadly, because of course, art, we tend to think of it as something more specialized. Like, oh, art is what painters do or what musicians do, which at some level is true, at another level it's not true. But aesthetics is definitely the more wider concept. So for example, the colors you choose to wear, that those say something about you,
Yeah.
and the hairstyle you choose to have, and the choices you make in general, all these say something about you. And I think when we connect this to the social interactions, it is, if we are mindful of this, that basically the appearance of someone, the aesthetic appeal somebody has, says something about them. We are not in a judgmental mode where we are like, hey, why don't you wear blue like me? That's the best color, obviously, like uh, you are not in a
That's not completely
judgmental
true.
mode. But you are in a mode of inquisitiveness where you're like, huh, why does that color speak to you, and what does it tell you? That sort of thing. So it's more like of a
Yeah.
discovery process
Mm.
rather than a process of flattening everything and be like, hey, you should be like me because that's obviously the best way to be. Rather, it's like, oh, you are like this, fantastic. There is this diversity, and I'm curious, what exactly does it entail?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you
And a
think
good with that.
do you think that this artistic side of yours Do you think that it feeds into your more technical endeavors? Um, and artistic in the wider sense, I mean here, not in the sense of oil painting on canvas, and yeah, like in the more wider sense, like in the sense of aesthetics of expression that comes from within. Again, you may
Um,
not know the answer, so that's totally fine, right? Because
mhm,
many of the things we do in life, as I said earlier, like we do them intuitively, they are make sense, and we kind of get what it is about, but we haven't really put it into words and thought it through.
mhm. Uh, Good question. Uh, oh, oh my God. Because when you say art in the broader sense, do you have any specific examples, actually?
Like for let me give you one concrete example. Like if you look at my Emacs, okay, of course, at one level you see a Emacs, which is the same as your Emacs and every other Emacs. At another level, you see certain choices when it comes to the colors I prefer, the presentation I like to have. Like I don't want to see line numbers, for example, by default, right? I want small text. There is a specific font I want, and all these little things. I don't want my cursor to be blinking, right? So all these little things don't really change the program itself, don't really change the technical capabilities of the program, but they are an expression which we may call artistic or aesthetic that allows me to use the program, or I anyway enjoy using it more this way.
Okay. Okay, like this, I think I can more confidently answer, I think. And thank you for that example, by the way. So I think, because what I like to have is maybe something that often goes to the point sometimes. So I like to not have a lot of distractions, etc. I like to just focus on the one thing. So this goes into choices like the focus mode that I mentioned previously,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
things like outlines and narrowing, again, wonderful features. Um, I do have an extremely minimal mode line actually, where just like I think all it has is like the major mode, the buffer name, and the line and colon numbers, even though I really don't use them, so maybe I'll just get rid of them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like because I also make them kind of look like eLisp lists, but it's really grayed out so you don't see the parentheses, but I'm just nerding out right now, right? So it's stuff like this. I also changed the font because not only do I think the basic like I think the basic emails font is kind of hard to read, at least compared to other ones. Um, and I don't know, maybe it doesn't have maybe this aesthetic of nerdiness in a way because I feel like it's too. I like when things are kind of like campy, kind of like unserious, silly,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know when just like all like I don't know, black suits, stern look, just super serious thing. It's like I don't like it. So I kind of changed it to a wonderful font. Atkinson Hyperlegible Mono, I think is the name.
Okay, okay.
Essentially, it's like a font that was made to make reading as accessible as possible. And so
Mm.
there's an incredible amount of care that they've put into like making all characters look different. So it's obviously it's still things like the O versus the zero. It's things like downcase L versus upcase I too. And I found that it was so much easier to read things in that font
Uh-huh.
than on the basic Emacs font. So really, whether it's you or anyone else, do try it out because it's lovely. It's really good.
Uh-huh. Okay,
And there's
okay.
also Yosefka, which I think you use.
Yeah, yeah, I have like a variation of it, a custom build of it, yeah.
Yeah. I'd also like Yosefka, but if I can get away uh with Atkinson Hyperlegible, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah,
if it works, yeah, you stick with that.
definitely. So yeah, I think for me, if we talk about stuff like Emacs specifically, it's stuff about I think what I value in regards to just focusing on what is immediately needed, which makes me think I should disable line numbers because I wanted to try that out for a while, and I just don't use that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
just think like the line movement because I'm kind of trying like, oh, CU is 37 CN, that is so cumbersome. I hate it.
Nah.
Especially with like the way that I set up my Ferris sweep. It's just I feel like I'm doing like alien concoctions. I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah, but
So,
that's a good segue because I wanted to ask you about the keyboard a little
ooh,
bit. So can you show it a little bit for people who don't know the Ferris suite? Because it has very, very few keys. It's like, yeah, yeah, very good,
uh,
very
okay,
nice.
so that should show it
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
well.
It sure. So what? These are what 32 for 34 keys, however.
It
Yeah, it's
is
something like that. Yeah.
so it is 34 keys
Uh huh.
where you have just like three keys on. Okay, so you just have like two buttons for each thumb. So one, two, three, four, and then you have 15 other keys, which are going to be mostly for stuff like letters and etc. Uh, the way that I use it is a mix of home rows and layers.
Okay.
Which I want to come back on home row mods because I think I watched another video where you did a talk and you mentioned that.
Uh huh.
Um, and honestly, I think it's really wonderful, especially since I use a Talent Window Manager, the ability to have homeroom mods and super easily just do things, and especially on the Emacs, I think people should like at least try out homeroom mods.
Hmm.
And if you don't like homeroom mods, at least try out like sticky modifiers.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause be wary of RSI. It's gonna come for you if you're not careful.
Yep, yep, yep. And even if you have
Yeah.
the thumb cluster and you are not using like one-shot modifiers, like just pressing and holding the whole time, that also harms you.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess also depends on the thing, because there's a thing you can do with like tenting
Yep, yep,
the
yep.
keyboard,
Uh-huh.
which I'd like to try at some point. I don't really have any thing other than like books, but then it's gonna be like an awful setup.
Yeah. The thing with tenting is that it has to be stable.
Yeah, pretty much.
I tried
Because
it for a while with regular nuts and bolts, and while I was typing slow, while I was learning, oh, it was fantastic. But when I started to type faster, I was like two, 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 and the whole thing was moving, and like, no,
yes, I just get really
stop.
distracting.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. But honestly, I've been surprised at how easy it's been to like kind of adapt. Because at first I might think, oh, that gets so weird because you have to like press the layers and everything. Honestly, I think it's cool. Even if, as you said, like that still doesn't really save you too much because again, you have to press down on thumbs. Especially for example the right or left thumb, depending on if you're like right or left-handed, which might also be used for the mouse or the phone, etc. So it's definitely a lot of strain. But still, I think it's good, especially for Emacs, because kind of a segue into Emacs key bindings.
Hmm.
I used to despise them, honestly. And this wasn't out of like the logic of Emacs key bindings, because after a while I realized that like whether it's mnemonics, the whole thing of oh you can just like muscle memory, like I think it really doesn't change much, other than like very specific cases like the most outward like keys, like for example if I think like this, it's like oh those ones.
Uh-huh.
Um, but like honestly, I think that if you're concerned about being able to about the debate of mnemonics versus muscle memory, like I think just get one of those small keyboards and just like no difference. But the thing is that when you don't have an easy or comfortable way to use modifier keys, Emacs is actually painful, I think.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
often double around with other packages for that, such as I've never used Vim, so I used kind of like things that went outside of that. So it was stuff like I think the first one was Xafly keys, which sells itself as the most efficient keyboard thing ever. Which I mean, I don't know about that, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, Shah for sure has put a lot of thought into it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When especially when you look into a lot of his like posts, it's definitely a really appreciated thing. Um, there's also Meow Mode, which really good, really good thing. But yeah, after a while, when I put on homebrew mods with like a software solution on my laptops, I just couldn't go back. Um, and yeah, again, I did look into this video. I don't remember the name of the channel, but I think they were like a NeoVim user,
Hmm.
and you ended up talking about this entire thing of homebrew mods and how the delays are a bit cumbersome at times. Uh, I've surprisingly had very few mishappenings with it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or actually, I noticed that with the software solution, which is KeyD on my end, I will have a lot of problems sometimes where I, for example, I do like Control S, where S and both the control were on my home row. And with the
Okay.
with the timers, it would be kind of annoying because like it will say, "Oh," then it's gonna do control, and then the modifier bounds to S, which is like meta or
Oh
stuff like
no.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or it's like it just eats the input, so I just have to like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. Now I'm gonna retry that. But with the fairy sweep that I use, it's a lot more comfortable
Hmm.
because I almost never have that, and the only problems I had was where I still had the KDE service active because I set it up so that if I pressed on the laptop modifier keys, it will be sticky. But if I just did the home rows, then it wouldn't be sticky, right? The problem
Mm.
is that since it considered everything as a laptop modifier key or just a keyboard modifier key, then sometimes I just end up with like, wait, what? Why just like sticky behavior on the super key? What's happening?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just end up disabling the thing. But yeah, I've been really surprised by how well this works. Really.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, there is also an element of typing technique to it. Like maybe I'm just a clumsy, and of course, I'm not the best typist anyway. I write a lot, but I don't mean to say that I write fast or that I am very precise. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, I think with good technique, you can basically make them work flawlessly. There is also this program called Accordion, I think, which integrates with QMK. So the idea is this: with home row mods, by default, you only have the timer to consider. And it's like, well, within the window of the time window that you have specified, it counts as a hold instead of a tap. Okay? But with accordion, it adds another dimension to it, which is like the modifiers on the right hand side only get activated if you invoke a key on the left hand side and vice versa. And basically, the
Ooh.
idea is that you never have these false positives. I don't know if it works in practice. I'm not sure it will work, but yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. Again, definitely. Guess it depends on the typing technique, because I mean, again, with my thing, if you don't really know how to touch type, if you don't really know your own layout, good luck. Because I've considered trying out other layouts like Beppo, Colmac, etc. But I'm just gonna lose a lot of time, so I don't know if it's super worth it. Maybe it is.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not
Mhm.
convinced. Yeah. Maybe there is an advantage, but I would say it's not that great. Unless you want to
Yeah.
go really deep into it and have something that really works for you. And then everything you did, do it again if you type in another language. So, of course, let's say I want to optimize my English input and I find an alternative layout to QWERTY that optimizes for that. Well, then I need to do the same for Greek. At which
Yeah.
point I will be like, yeah, now that I think about it, I'm not that good of a Greek speaker anyway.
Yeah.
So I would just stick to
Yeah.
English.
Mm. Although there are some layouts that have been made to kind of like mix specific languages together. I've been eyeing this one out called Argo L, I think, which like mixes English and French. But the thing is, it's pretty easy because English and French both rely on the same kind of alphabet, whereas with your example of English and Greek, well,
Mhm.
it's perhaps a lot harder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, these combinations of languages, maybe you could say, oh, well, they share a lot of words, so that's easy. But in practice, it's not.
That's yeah, definitely. But yeah, for anyone who's concerned with RSI, take regular breaks, get a good seat, and try out better keyboards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And on the topic of taking regular breaks, take long breaks and forget about social media. Go socialize, talk to people.
Very true. Very true.
Exactly. Come to
Yeah.
Greece and give us our money. give give us your money. No, I'm kidding. We will be working double shift for it.
Yeah. And I'll not get any more, but that's just because we're very kind and not anything else. No worries. Totally not something about power dynamics. But yeah,
Yeah,
all good.
yeah.
And also silly reasons. Oh, watch out, it's Christmas. It's Christmas, so people must like do everything. Like, oh, like like it's fine. Like it's fine if the services are a bit slower.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
oh well.
yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. You mentioned earlier the word, life is absurd. You said something like this, maybe not the exact words. Um, and I think that is a good idea to keep in mind so as to not take yourself too seriously, not take your work too seriously, not take
Yeah.
your successes too seriously, not take your failures too seriously, and basically be a bit more relaxed about it and easygoing. And everything is much
Definitely.
nicer this way. Yeah.
Yeah. I did use the word absurd. This is somewhat on purpose in the sense
Uh-huh.
that I do, like in regards to philosophy, I very much agree with the idea of absurdism from Albert Camus.
Hmm.
And yeah, like it's kind of like the kind of thing that I think about life, because like we live in a world where some of the worst atrocities we could ever do have happened, and at the same time, perhaps with the vulgarity, but there's an artist that sings about her vagina being like a Fruit Loop, like the cereal. So it's like, why should I take life so seriously? You know, like just have fun, don't hurt people, and you shall be fine. You know,
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
that's despite the really dumb allegory. Um, but I guess it's one that kind of helps me just
Hmm.
take things light. You know, like like things are just funny sometimes. I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
And even the ugly parts of life, you will find, like in countries where life is not good, you will find a lot of people who deal with it with sarcasm, with humor.
Mm.
Like it's a stress release mechanism.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Mm. Yeah, no, I definitely relate because I know that I use a lot of humor to kind of like make myself with or other people feel better.
uh-huh,
Definitely.
uh-huh.
So yeah, I relate to that. Perhaps that says something about me. I don't know. I'll let everyone just psychoanalyze me to their will, and I can't really control that. But
Yeah, exactly. You cannot, and that's why you shouldn't worry, and it's all good.
yeah, yeah, that's it, really.
Very well, very well. I say we close on this note. We covered a lot of ground. Thank you
That
for
is
the
true.
chat. I had a
And
very good
thank
time.
you as well. That was really good. Almost an hour 40. Woo!
Yeah, yeah, time flies, and
Time really does fly. Oh my god.
these are the bad habits of not being paid overtime, you see.
What, you want me to like PayPal you $30 by the end?
No, no, you don't pay me. Very good, very good. So thank you, Arni. Take care. Good luck with everything. Continue to explore, to experiment, to have fun, and yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and good luck to you as well. Hope everything goes well and you enjoy whatever life has to give, whether good or bad.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, best of luck to all of us.
Wonderful, wonderful. So take care and goodbye for now. Bye bye.
Bye.
And I'm closing, terminating the recording. Take care, folks. Goodbye.